even if you think you know the basic rules. The world of credit and finance can sometimes feel like a competitive sport with a hidden playbook. You might have a general idea, but mastering the game to your advantage, well, that's another level entirely.
It absolutely is. And for so many people, especially maybe from backgrounds where financial literacy wasn't explicitly taught, the initial experience is just hitting walls.
Hitting walls, yeah.
Whether it's, trying to get a job or running an apartment or trying to secure a loan. The material we're looking at today really highlights this struggle. It starts with that really common feeling of seeing credit cards as like free money, and then the shock when ignoring bills actually has real consequences.
Right. It's that moment when you realize this score, this track record actually impacts major life opportunities. The source opens with this really powerful personal story of needing a job to dig out of debt, but being stuck in that catch-22 because a poor credit score prevented getting the job in the first place.
And that personal narrative is such a perfect entry point because it really underscores the stakes, doesn't it? This isn't just about numbers on a page. It's about access and opportunity.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We've got this stack of sources sent in by you, our listener, all about, well, demystifying and mastering this credit game.
And we're going to try and extract the most critical insights, the actionable strategies, to show you not just how credit works, but how to strategically build and fix your personal credit.
Okay.
And then take that understanding to the next level by leveraging business credit to build wealth, even if you're starting, relatively small.
So we're going to unpack why your credit score is so much more than just a number. We'll break down exactly what the game scorecard looks like, explore some smart, low-risk ways to build history, tackle how to identify and fix errors that might be dragging you down, and then dive into that multi-tiered approach for building powerful business credit.
Okay. Let's unpack this journey into the credit game, maybe beginning with the personal side and that initial sense of being caught in the credit trap.
The material paints a pretty clear picture of how easily people can fall into this trap, often just due to a lack of early financial education. It leads to those early misconceptions, right?
Oh, definitely. Thinking credit is just free money or that unpaid bills don't really matter long term.
Yeah.
And the reality, as the author experienced firsthand, is the exact opposite. Your personal credit score is constantly being evaluated by landlords deciding if they'll rent to you.
Right.
Increasingly by employers during background checks, which is kind of surprising to some people.
Wow.
And certainly by lenders when you need a car loan, a mortgage, or any kind of financing. A low score doesn't just mean denial. It often means significantly higher interest rates, costing you thousands over time. It creates that profound feeling of just being held back.
It makes perfect sense why that catch-22 you mentioned, needing income to fix the problem, but being denied income because of the problem feels so defeating.
But here's where the material shifts perspective, and I think beautifully. It argues that credit, when understood and used correctly, is described as a beautiful thing.
A beautiful thing. That sounds like a completely different game than the trap we were just talking about.
It is, because instead of being a trap, it becomes a tool. A really powerful one. It gives you the ability to leverage substantial amounts of capital that you couldn't possibly accumulate just from savings or a 9-to-5 salary alone. We're talking about accessing funds for major investments, homeownership, scaling a business, acquiring assets, often at very low interest rates if your score is strong. This leverage is a fundamental way wealth is built faster than just saving pennies.
So it's the difference between seeing credit as maybe a way to buy things you can't afford now versus seeing it as a way to access capital for future growth and opportunity?
Exactly. It's about control and strategy. And the core of gaining that control is understanding your personal credit score. The sources use that great metaphor. Your score is your track record in this competitive financial sport.
And there are 5 specific areas they focus on, kind of like the key skills you need to develop and maintain to win this game.
Right. The most impactful skill, accounting for about 35% of your score, is payment history. This is your core reliability metric. Basically, did you pay your bills on time?
Simple as that.
Well, almost.
Yeah.
Every on-time payment is a win on your record. A payment more than 30 days late, or a missed payment entirely, is a significant loss. Lenders look here first to see if you're likely to pay them back.
And it's fascinating how the material emphasizes that you must participate to even have a track record. Simply being good with cash and never borrowing means you don't have a score.
Exactly.
Because you haven't played the game. You have to strategically borrow and repay.
Precisely. You need that history. Next up, contributing around 30% is amounts owed. Now, this isn't just the total dollar amount of your debt, but critically, your credit utilization rate, the percentage of your available credit limits that you're currently using.
Ah, right, the utilization.
Yeah. Owing a high amount relative to your limits signals potential financial strain to lenders. Keeping this low, ideally below 10% and definitely under 30%, shows lenders you have plenty of available credit you aren't using. It indicates financial health and, wiggle room.
That's a key insight. It's not just having debt, but how much debt compared to your capacity to borrow.
Right. Then we have length of credit history, which is about 15%. This is really about seniority, how long your credit accounts have been open and active.
More time playing the game.
More time playing the game. A longer history provides more data points, building lender confidence because they have years of your behavior to evaluate. This is why keeping older, positive accounts open, even if you don't use them much, can be beneficial.
Okay, makes sense. Then credit mix is 10%.
Yeah, this reflects your ability to manage different types of credit responsibly. Think revolving accounts like credit cards and installment loans like a car loan or a mortgage. It's like showing you can handle different kinds of plays in the game, not just one.
Got it. And finally, new credit, also 10%.
Right. Opening multiple new accounts in a short time frame can sometimes concern lenders. It might look like you're either in financial distress and desperately seeking funds, or maybe just overextending yourself.
And this is where hard inquiries come in.
Exactly. Each time you formally apply for a new mortgage, a car loan, a new credit card, it typically results in a hard inquiry that can slightly ding your score, just temporarily usually.
The material shared that really frustrating story about applying for one car loan and somehow ending up with like 40 hard inquiries bounced across different lenders. That shows how just understanding this piece can protect you.
Absolutely. It's about being deliberate with your applications, not just spraying them out there. So with these 5 factors in mind, the absolute first strategic step is to actually see your own scorecard.
Checking your credit report.
Essential. The sources really stress this because the credit reporting system is complex and mistakes do happen. Simple clerical errors, data getting mixed up between people with similar names, even identity theft. Plus, you need to see exactly what a potential lender or landlord sees, not just a potentially simplified view from, say, a third-party app.
So where's the official place to get that, not just any site?
Right. By law, you are entitled to one free copy of your credit report every 12 months from each of the 3 major bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. The only official, genuinely free source is annualcreditreport.com.
Annualcreditreport.com.
Okay. Be cautious of other sites claiming free credit reports that might try to charge you later or push other services you don't need.
Good tip. And once you have that report in hand, what should you be scanning for specifically?
Look at everything listed, all your accounts, the balances, the payment history. Crucially, identify any negative marks, late payments, accounts that went to collections, defaults. The report will show which creditor reported them.
So that becomes your hit list.
Exactly. That becomes your strategic master list of issues to tackle. Also, scrutinize any accounts you don't recognize or any errors in the reporting, wrong dates, incorrect balances, creditors you never dealt with. That could indicate a simple error or, more seriously, identity theft.
Okay, so you've got your report, you see the challenges. The material then moves into strategically paying down debt. It says it's not just about making random payments.
Precisely. The strategy outlined isn't about who's calling you the most or who seems the loudest. It's about prioritizing your payments to save the most money and maximize your score improvement over time.
And the first priority is usually the highest interest rates.
This is often the financially smartest move in the long run. By aggressively paying down debts with the highest interest rates, you save significant money because those heavy interest payments effectively disappear, as the source puts it.
Right.
You might make only minimum payments on lower interest debts temporarily to free up cash flow to really attack the high interest ones.
And avoiding late fees is another piece.
Crucial. Penalties just eat into your overall budget and set you back further. You need to balance payments to prevent incurring new fees when you work on chipping away at the principal balances.
Made sense.
Also, consider which creditors are harming your credit score more. Your report will reveal who is reporting negatively and prioritize addressing those specific accounts. The material also mentions strategically consolidating debt maybe with a low-interest line of credit if you can qualify, which could potentially lower your overall interest costs and clean up the number of negative marks hitting your report.
There's also that important point about the 7-year statutory limit. How does that factor in?
Yeah, that's the general rule that most negative marks, like late payments or collections accounts, are designed to fall off your credit report automatically after about 7 years from the date of the first delinquency.
Okay.
Knowing this time frame can help you prioritize. Very old debts might be less critical to address immediately compared to recent negative marks, although resolving them is generally better for your score if possible.
And how do you figure out which creditors are actually reporting and affecting your score? Because not all of them do, right?
Exactly. Again, your official credit report is the definitive source. It shows you exactly who is reporting and therefore impacting your score. The material suggests that if you catch a potential issue, like maybe a medical bill going to collections, before it actually gets reported to the bureaus,
Okay.
you might be able to negotiate with the original creditor or the collection agency to settle it, maybe for pennies on the dollar, and potentially prevent that negative mark from ever appearing on your report in the first place.
That's fascinating. So, okay, you've identified the issues, you've prioritized. How do you actually fix those negative marks that are dragging your score down? Let's start with errors.
Right. Two main avenues: disputing things that are just plain wrong and negotiating things that are accurate but negative. For errors, mistakes due to similar names, data entry problems, or maybe identity theft, you need to formally dispute them directly with the credit bureaus.
And the material provides examples like using specific language, maybe even citing the Fair Credit Reporting Act to make those disputes more effective.
Yes, it stresses that sometimes you need to be persistent. You might need to provide documentation. It could require escalating your communication if the initial dispute is rejected, but the bureaus must investigate legitimate disputes under the FCRA. They have rules they have to follow.
Okay, but what about marks that are accurate? Maybe you genuinely were late or missed a payment back then. Is there anything you can do?
Often, yes.
Yeah.
It's still possible to improve the situation sometimes. Creditors, especially debt collectors, ultimately want to get paid something rather than nothing. The strategy involves contacting the creditor or the debt collector directly.
And keeping meticulous records during that interaction is key, the source says.
Absolutely vital. Note down names, titles, dates, times, and summarize the content of every conversation. The material even offers potential scripts you can adapt for these calls, whether you're trying to propose a payment plan or, in some situations, simply stating you don't wish to pay just to stop the harassment calls. Though it's important to remember that specific action leaves the negative mark on your report. It doesn't remove it.
Right. But what about the pay for delete tactic? That sounds
Yeah.
really powerful if you can pull it off.
It can be, especially when dealing with third-party debt collectors who might have purchased your debt for a fraction of its original value.
Oh.
The idea is you negotiate to pay an agreed-upon amount, often less than the full balance,
Okay.
in exchange for them agreeing to remove the negative entry from your credit report entirely. It's like it never happened.
Wow.
But the crucial, absolutely non-negotiable step here is getting that agreement in writing an email or a formal letter works before you send them any money.
Get it in writing first.
First, without written proof, there's absolutely no guarantee they'll hold up their end of the bargain after you've paid them. You need that leverage.
Makes total sense. Identity theft is a related risk the sources highlight, especially now with so much of our personal data floating around online.
It's a constant threat, unfortunately. You need to be extremely protective of your sensitive information. Your full name, date of birth, social security number, address history, previous lenders, even the answers to those security questions websites ask.
So be super cautious with unsolicited calls, emails, or untrusted websites asking for this kind of info.
Definitely. If someone calls claiming to be from your bank or a company you do business with and asks for sensitive data like your SSN or account number, just hang up. Then call the company back yourself using their official known phone number from their website or your statement, not the number the caller gave you.
Good practice.
Also, be very wary of sharing sensitive information over public Wi-Fi, which is often unsecured and easier for others to intercept. And regularly checking your credit report, like we discussed, is also a key defense look for accounts you didn't open or inquiries you don't recognize.
Okay, so we've covered understanding the score, checking the reports, fixing the issues. Now let's talk about actively building that positive personal credit history, maybe quickly and with minimal risk involved.
Right, because just fixing negatives isn't enough. You need positives. The material notes that credit bureaus really start to build a robust picture of you, a good score, when you have around 3 to 5 active, positive accounts reporting. It's like showing you can successfully manage multiple teams responsibly month after month.
But applying for a bunch of new accounts can lead to those score-lowering hard inquiries we talked about. So how do you get those 3 to 5 accounts without hurting your score in the process?
That's the potential